Welcome to The Shift Show with Adriana Bucci. Join me every week to learn all about narcissistic abuse recovery, healing from physical and emotional pain after the abuse, and everything else to do with toxic people and how they affect your physical, emotional, and mental health. And no, you are not the crazy one. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Let's get right to it. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of The Shift Show. I know I took a bit of a hiatus from this podcast, but I am back and I will have more episodes in the future. I will probably be posting twice a week because I do have a lot to talk about. But for this episode today, I wanted to introduce my brand new free training. So the training is called It's Not Your Fault, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit, and I'll put a link in the description so you can actually watch the whole thing. It's free, completely 100% free. It's a great training, and it's called It's Not Your Fault. And basically, the point of it is to let you know that literally the abuse was never your fault. So if you've been narcissistically abused, that is not your fault whatsoever. The narcissist is the person who makes the choice to actually inflict emotional abuse on you. And I know that when you are dealing with narcissistic abuse, and if you're still kind of enmeshed with that narcissist in general, they're probably trying to make you feel like you deserve the abuse, or it's your fault that this happened to you, or you're too stupid or too trusting or too whatever. And the truth is that it's actually not your fault and you're not to anything. You can't blame yourself for the abuse. Narcissists do not, have never, and will never come with a sign tattooed on their foreheads that says, "Warning, I'm about to fuck up your life in ways that you couldn't imagine," right? If that was the case, no one would ever get involved with a narcissist, and we wouldn't have this problem, right? Like, this podcast wouldn't exist. Let's Get Your Shift Together wouldn't exist. I would have probably never had chronic pain. Nobody would ever have chronic pain after narcissistic abuse and, with the whole emotions causing the pain. If you're foreign to this concept, I suggest you listen to any of the previous podcast episodes on this channel, because this is all about the mind-body connection, and it's real. The mind-body connection is 1000% real. Chronic pain that you've gotten checked out from your doctor that's lasted for more than 6 months, and you've done the tests, you know that there's nothing life-threatening wrong with you. It's just some sort of pain condition or chronic condition like IBS or eczema or like skin stuff like that, where you're not going to die from it, but it's super uncomfortable and you're focused on your body a lot. That is your brain in survival mode, trying to protect you from your repressed emotions. So to learn more about that, check out the first couple of episodes here, and I have a bunch of interviews with people who have their own success stories. So definitely take a look at that. So yeah, basically, you never had a warning that somebody was narcissistic, right? The narcissist put on a false persona and they manipulated you so that they could be abusive towards you, so that they could get their supply. And that's not your fault. You are probably a decent, kind, warm-hearted person, and you were manipulated by somebody that you trusted and cared about, and that's not your fault, right? Where people generally are good-natured, right? And we assume that. We don't automatically assume the worst of somebody. Depends how jaded you are. Sometimes we do. And I've been there too. I'm not going to lie. I've had times where I've just immediately not trusted somebody for no good reason other than just the fact of my own biases. But then you get to know the person, you realize they're not so bad after all, and that's all good. But, when there's a narcissist, if, for example, somebody who is trying to date you, for example, right, for like a significant other type of situation, they will charm your socks off at the beginning. And you're going to believe them because that's what we do. We believe people, right? And you're going to fall for their charming persona. You're not going to know that it's fake and that it's bullshit. And slowly throughout the relationship, they're going to start taking the mask off and putting the mask back on to continue manipulating you. So they might slip up once and then you call them out on it. And then in order for them to save face, they're going to throw it back onto you so that the responsibility is taken off of them, right? So this is part of the manipulation. This is part of why it's literally not your fault that this is happening to you, because they're fucking master manipulators, okay? They cannot, like, you cannot blame yourself for falling prey to somebody who literally does this shit to everybody. Like, they are masters at this. This is how they have survived in life. And it's really fucked up. And it's really hard to make sense out of it. You cannot make sense out of nonsense. And you already know in your heart that you would never treat somebody like that in order to get what you want. So if you're asking yourself if you're the problem, if you're the narcissist, you're not, because you actually have the ability to self-reflect like that and go inwards and actually ask yourself those questions. Whereas a narcissist is going to just continue this false narrative that they're right, they're justified, and everybody else is just not bowing down to them. And they will never, ever ask themselves the question if they're the problem. It's always somebody else's fault. They're always the victim. They're always the martyr. And they can be pretty convincing. So, you can't blame yourself. And if you do blame yourself, that's completely normal, because they're trying to brainwash you into blaming yourself. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and to also let you know that, they calculated everything. The narcissist calculates everything. They have enough. I don't want to use the word intelligence because that's like a compliment to them, but, they have the ability to make these choices and know that it's self-serving for them. Like, they have that type of insight. They know what the fuck they're doing. And they use this to their advantage in order to get narcissistic supply from you. So what's narcissistic supply? That is your attention, your emotional reaction, and, it's just fuel to their drama, right? And that is their supply. So if they don't have somebody like complimenting them all the time, or, kind of fighting with them all the time, getting a rise out of the things that they say, then they look for new supply. So that's why gray rocking works so well when you're trying to distance yourself from these people. But of course, if you can actually go no contact immediately, right? But sometimes when it's family members or somebody that you share kids with and you can't necessarily go no contact, or maybe you live with the person and you're starting to leave, gray rocking is going to be your friend. And I think there's an episode about gray rocking, but if there isn't, I will go more into it. But basically, long story short, you take on the persona of a gray rock and you be as boring as possible. And this might confuse them a bit at first because they're used to you not being a gray rock and, having reactions to things. So when this stops, they might actually up the ammo and try to get more reactions out of you. So just bear that in mind. But stick to your guns. Keep gray rocking. Keep giving one-word answers. Don't tell them how your day actually went. Just say it was like an okay day and that's it, right? You don't want to tell them you had a good day or a bad day because they can take that and spin it into a whole dramatic tornado of shit. So yeah, gray rocking if you have to be in contact with this person. And yeah, like they literally calculated everything in order to get the supply from you, to get someone that they could control and manipulate like a little puppet. And that's on them. Not that they would ever take responsibility for that. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that it's not your fault that you were abused. Like they literally made choices, calculated choices in order to get what they wanted out of you. And they had enough of the ability, like, intelligence, if you want to call it that, but the ability to actually consider their actions, to know that it would be self-serving for them, to know that, they would get what they want out of you for themselves while harming you on an emotional and mental level. And the thing is, they don't give a fuck that it was harming you. Like they only care about themselves. They don't care how you feel. They don't care what you think. As long as it's serving them in some way, shape, or form, they're going to just keep continuing to abuse you. And that is not your fault. I repeat, that is not your fault. No one chooses to be abused, right? Just like the narcissist doesn't have a sign on their forehead that says, I'm about to fuck up your life in ways that you couldn't imagine, you also don't have a sign on your forehead that says, please abuse me. I deserve it, right? Because You don't. And they target people who have big hearts. And the thing is, you can have a big heart and avoid narcissists. It's just you have to do the healing work in order to be able to be more aware of the signs and more aware of the manipulation in the very, very early stages of it before it gets to that point. And before even getting really involved with somebody, like you'll be able to actually trust your intuition and your intuition will be correct. It's just you can't get to that point until you actually do the emotional work. So, yeah, understand that none of this is your fault and this is not something that you could have possibly known, right? It's not something that they advertise to you. And if you find yourself blaming yourself for the abuse and not knowing ahead of time, not being psychic enough, not being able to read people before you meet them, or, allowing this to happen to you, or being in too low of a vibration or whatever the hell that means, so that's why you caused this to happen to you. I invite you to actually consider how true any of it is. Like, actually ask yourself these questions. Is this true? Is it really my fault? Did I really know? Did this person have a sign on their face saying, I'm going to fuck up your life? Beware, right? Chances are it's absolutely not true. And that is why I created my training video. It's not your fault. So it's a free training video. There's nothing to sell. I do talk about my program and my services, of course, because that is what I'm here for. I am a coach, but there's no pressure to buy anything. The training is absolutely 100% free. And it's all about helping you understand that none of this was any of your fault. So I hope that this has been helpful. Stay tuned for more podcast episodes, and I will have the link for that free training in the description of this. So feel free to check that out. Let me know what you think of it. And yeah, stay tuned to the podcast. This podcast has not died. It is up and running, and it is back with a vengeance. So stay tuned for more education on narcissistic abuse, more interviews with the survivors, fellow coaches, etc. And I look forward to the future of this podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.